cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
FF episode 2193. We're getting oh so close to that elusive 2200 episodes.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And here we are on a Wednesday that feels like a Thursday. I don't know what it does to me. How about you? It started to rain a little bit, and then I had to get through a lot of rain and a lot of passive aggressiveness today because people get passive aggressive. And can you explain why? It's just annoying, isn't it?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I think it has to do primarily in a world where we are dealing a lot with emails.
Mike's
and we
Daily
can't convey
Podcast.
a lot of what we're really trying to say. Like when we say it in person, then everything's fine, everything's cool. Especially face to face. But as you have learned from your communications class, if you took it, and this was the communications class degree that I got is now way over like 30 years old. So back then we didn't even have texting. But every time you remove a bit of the intimate details, the further proximity you get away from one another, the less you get all the details conveyed. The further away, the more stuff flies away in the conversation. Kind of like me trying to explain this. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, like with a text, some people can't text very well. They can't like convey what they're trying to say. They just use cryptic one word, half a word, not even a word sentences. And then with emails, you get the same thing. And in this world, I am discovering more and more people are using less grammar. Appropriate grammar. Correct grammar. They don't...
And here's today's podcast picture.
They don't capitalize anymore. They don't put periods anymore. I don't know what's happening. It's ridiculous. So when I first met Keith Urban back in like the 90s, he was writing his name in lowercase letters because he was saying at some point we're going to stop capitalizing things. This is the country artist Keith Urban that married Nicole Kidman. He was saying this way back when, the Australian. The podcast picture today is from a happy place that my lovely lady friend and I went to. It's a place I took Basil to years and years ago, the late great Basil the boxer. Pilar Point Harbor. See that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Yes, we went there, Basil, that time. Remember? It was fun. So let's see. I have some, Want to take a coffee quiz with me real quick? Yes, I probably took a little more coffee today into my body than I should have. But let's take a coffee quiz. Where's the... Oh, there's a poll? Oh, who cares? Oh, here we go. No? Oh, okay. A coffee bean is actually a seed, a legume, or a fruit. I think it's a fruit. Let me see. It's a seed? Really? What we refer to as a coffee bean, actually they are the seeds of the coffee cherry. The coffee cherry, named for its resemblance to the edible fruit. See, that's why I thought it was a fruit. Contains the coffee seed that we remove, roast, and brew. Harvesting the beans is labor intensive, which is why I don't do it. Okay. Which coffee company was named for a character in Moby Dick? Pete's, Starbucks, Maxwell House. It's gotta be Starbucks. Yes, the founders of the coffee giant originally considered Starbo the name of a Pacific Northwest mining town. That reminded them of the Moby Dick character Starbuck. And the roast is history. Thank you, Bing, for your joke telling. The Starbucks the Starbuck, I always thought it was named after the guy from Battlestar Galactica, which became a woman when they did the revamp of the show. The first webcam was created to watch a coffee pot. Starbucks or a busy intersection. Well, since this is a coffee quiz, it must be a coffee pot. Yes, those crazy cats in the computer lab at the University of Cambridge were fed up with pointless trips to the coffee machine. So, in 1991, they connected a 129 by 129 pixel grayscale camera. That's not many pixels, considering that the podcast picture generally is about 1400 by 1400 pixels. That would update the image of the state of the coffee pot once a second. That was a time saver. To make a Bison, you need espresso milk and which ingredient? Oh, chocolate? Yes, if you visit Turin, Italy, you might try this layered drink, Bison, with espresso, drinking chocolate, and foam milk, or you can stay put and try making your own. Thank you. Oh, you have a recipe for me. Oh, is that why you're... Okay. Well, I guess, let's see. Have I had my... You know, it kind of looks like an affogato to me, which I enjoy. You grab vanilla ice cream, throw it in a cup of coffee. Yum. Which nut was used as a coffee substitute? Hazelnut, chestnut, or an acorn? It was an acorn. Many birds and squirrels enjoy the fruit of the oak tree. Historically, acorns were used as a coffee substitute by the Confederacy during the Civil War and by German forces during World War II. If you order an Einspanner in Vienna, you like espresso topped with gelato, whipped cream, or stout beer. Ooh. Let's see. What would it be? Whipped cream. Oh. Wow, that's just... As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. A very wet Podcastro Valley. It's called an atmospheric river. Look out. Otherwise known as an espresso con panna. This drink is a shot of espresso topped with sweet whipped cream, but the Viennese version is usually a little more dessert-like, often dusted with chocolate or other sweet additions. Well, I have grown tired and weary of these questions. Have we learned nothing? California faces backlash for lifting stay-home order. California's decision to lift its stay-at-home order is drawing backlash from health experts and frontline workers who warn that a premature reopening could prolong the crisis and further devastate hard-hit communities. That was a question being asked at my work today, because we're still working from home. Should we come back? And at some point, the only reason why people want to come back is they want to get away from home. Maybe they don't like who they're married to, and they just want to get a change of scenery. Citing projections that hospital capacity would improve in coming weeks, Governor Gavin Newsom, who just can't seem to get a break from anybody, people on the left and right just totally badmouth the guy. He announced on Monday he was rescinding the statewide shutdown order. The move returned counties to a tiered system of localized reopenings and allowed certain sectors to partially resume business, including salons, restaurants, and churches. And I also wanted to mention this because this is big news. It may even change by the time you hear this, but the Democrats are floating a Trump censure as the conviction grows unlikely. Democrat Senator Tim Kaine, who was once going to possibly be our vice president, remember, he ran with Hillary. I've never run with Hillary, or anyone named Hillary. That's sad. Said that he has discussed with colleagues whether a censure resolution to condemn former President Donald Trump for his role in the deadly January 6th attack on the Capitol could be an alternative to impeachment. even as the Senate proceeds with trial. In fact, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said the impeachment trial would move forward, but Kane's proposal is an acknowledgement that the Senate is unlikely to convict Trump of inciting the riot, a troubling prospect for many lawmakers who believe Trump must be held accountable in some way for the Capitol attack. If he were convicted, the Senate could then hold a second vote to ban him from office. A censure would not hold the power of a conviction, but it would put the Senate on record as disapproving of Trump's role in the insurrection, which came as Congress was counting electoral votes to confirm Democrat Joe Biden's victory. Just before Trump supporters broke through the windows and busted through the Capitol doors, he gave a fiery speech outside the Capitol, urging them to fight like hell to overturn his defeat. Talk of finding a punishment that more senators could rally around flared a day after just 5 Republicans joined Democrats in a Senate test vote over the legitimacy of Trump's trial. It was unclear, though, whether other Democrats or any Republicans would sign on to Kane's proposal. House Democrats are busy preparing their formal case against the former president for inciting an insurrection. The arguments will start next week. There you go. That's all that's going on. Hey, did you know that Robert Smith of The Cure did a song with the Gorillaz? It got released late last year. I did not know about this. It flew under the radar. Did you know that Howard Jones, when he wrote the song No One Is to Blame, no one ever is to blame. So he wrote that song originally because he was in San Francisco promoting the previous record he had. Let's see. What was that one? Dream Into Action, wasn't it? That was the album that one. So the previous album, I think, was called Human Lib. I forget now. But he was in San Francisco promoting the Humans Lib album. Had a new song on it, What Is Love Anyway? And Hunter, Hunt for Yourself, something like that. I'm not Googling or Binging any of this right now. I don't have time. So he was touring San Francisco, going to all the radio stations, because there's like 1 million radio stations that were playing his stuff at that time in the Bay Area. And he is traveling with a record promoter guy, one of these guys that would show up at a radio station and go, "Hey, buddy," they'd say to the program director, "Hey, man, how's you liking how's that new Howard Jones record doing for you? How's it doing for you?" Oh, I don't miss those people. Sorry. As soon as I got, let's say I got let go. Let's say that is probably how Cumulus, it was Cumulus. I can say it now. It was over 10 years ago. They let people go everywhere in their company. They did it last year, too, let a bunch of people go. I don't work for Cumulus anymore. But when that happened, suddenly, all those record promoter guys that go, "Hey, buddy, how are you doing? How's it going, Mike? You're the best thing ever," didn't hear a word from them. Nothing. Crickets. I'm outside right now. I don't hear any crickets. I hear birds. I hear dogs. And the sound of a waterfall, perhaps. But didn't hear from any record promoter people. Anyway, just saying. Cafe anyway. So this record promoter guy says to Howard Jones, because they had just seen some beautiful woman or something, and the record promoter guy goes, "Hey, Howard, women are sure hot in the Bay Area, but you can look at the menu, but you just can't eat. And it's okay to look at the menu." And Howard Jones immediately put that away in his head and said, "I'm going to write a song." So that's how that song starts. You can look at the menu, but you just can't eat. You can feel the punishment, but you just can't commit the sin. I forget the words. Cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, near probably where Howard Jones came up with the idea for that song. And look who's here. Hello, Michael Masters, it's Madame Rootabega, and I am so sorry that you can't remember the rest of this song. Oh, yeah, it's just not. There's too much atmospheric river happening in the air, and it just. And I got beat up with so much passive aggressiveness today. I just can't. That's okay. Oh, do you like Howard Jones? Yes. Do you like the Bay Area? Yes. Do you like Starship? No. Oh. I went to a Burmese food place in the Bay Area today, and they had a little signed autograph Starship photo, like the band Starship, but like most of the picture was from the 80s. None of those guys look like that anymore. I'm sorry. It's called 35 years or more of aging, and it just, no. There ain't enough hair dye in the world or plastic surgery to help you out at some point. Look who else is here. Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, we want to go to that movie theater you were talking about last night called Cinematique Day. Yeah, Cinematique. Do you know that? Yes, that's the movie theater in Daytona Beach that my mom went to and saw something that I don't think she was prepared to see. But, you know, that just happens sometimes. And next show it's going to be, I guess you'll have to listen to the last show to find out what I'm talking about. Next show it's going to be Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere, the engineer. If you'd like to chime in about anything we covered, you can call 336-MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily is in what this podcast is about. Remember what Plato said, that everybody has their own problem that they're dealing with. Everybody has their own drama that they're dealing with, their own battle that they're fighting. So just be aware of that and be nice to people today. That's my suggestion.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!